Lucasfilm's new Star Wars series are understandably shrouded in secrecy, but none more so than The Acolyte. The upcoming series benefits a lot from its setting. It'll take place 100 years before the fall of the Galactic Republic, where the prequels took place. But The Acolyte will be forging new territory in more ways than one, according to showrunner Leslye Headland. The Acolyte has been touted as a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. This underexplored period in Star Wars history will give the franchise a chance to expand on the nebulous lore behind the Sith, as well as their push and pull with the Jedi. But unlike most Star Wars properties, the Jedi won't be the main focus of the series. They may not be the heroes either. In fact, the Jedi might be the antagonist in The Acolyte. Headland recently spoke to Collider on her choice to decenter the Jedi in her upcoming series. Though The Acolyte begins with two Jedi, one a former Padawan, the other a master, as they uncover a conspiracy, the series will largely focus on the origins of the Sith. As such, it won't be treating the Jedi with the reverence that fans are used to seeing, but challenging the status quo has also posed a challenge to the Acolyte writers. "I think it's difficult to do a show that is critical in any way of the Jedi," Headland explained. "The Jedi Order has always been a pillar of Star Wars, to the point where any criticism towards them is often met with backlash. But the truth is that the Jedi have always been fallible, as seen in the prequels. The Acolyte has an opportunity to delve deeper into this theme by exploring the Jedi's potential flaws, hubris, and ignorance. While the Jedi have been portrayed as beacons of purity and justice, they are ultimately a bureaucratic organization. Their blindness to Palpatine's growing influence, as well as their suffocating doctrine, contributed to the fall of the Republic. The Acolyte will challenge the notion that the Jedi are the light and perfect group of heroes, and instead showcase their weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Dave, Filoni would say, is that they are fallible. That's really the story that George told with the prequels, right? The fall of this particular group, Headland said. Star Wars has always been about the Jedi's undoing. While the sequels largely failed to flesh out the breadcrumbs that the prequels left behind, it's definitely not too late for the Acolyte to pick up the slack. It'll be interesting to see a series criticizing a Jedi at the height of their power. But then again, that's likely exactly what the franchise needs. The Acolyte is set to take place 100 years before the fall of the Galactic Republic, during the underexplored High Republic era. This is a fascinating period in Star Wars history, as it's largely uncharted territory for the franchise. What's exciting is that the series is going to delve into the nebulous lore behind the Sith and their push and pull with the Jedi, which is something that hasn't been explored in depth in previous Star Wars properties. But what's really interesting about The Acolyte is that it's going to challenge the status quo in a big way. As I mentioned earlier, the Jedi might actually be the antagonist in the series. This is a bold move, as the Jedi Order has always been a pillar of Star Wars. However, it's fair to say that the Jedi had their flaws, hubris, and ignorance, which ultimately led to the rise of Palpatine. This is something that George Lucas explored in the prequels, but it's a theme that hasn't been fully fleshed out in subsequent Star Wars properties. The Acolyte has an opportunity to pick up where the sequels left off and explore this theme in greater depth. Headland is confident that the show can pull it off. She notes that the truth about the fallibility of the Jedi has always been there, and it's a story that George Lucas told in the prequels. She also points to Dave Filoni, who has been instrumental in expanding the Star Wars universe through his work on the Clone Wars and The Mandalorian, as someone who understands that the Jedi are fallible. The Acolyte is slated for release on Disney Plus in 2024, and I, for one, am excited to see how it all unfolds. It's going to be fascinating to see a series that challenges the Jedi at the height of their power. The fact that it's set in the High Republic era, which is largely unexplored, makes it all the more intriguing. I'm eager to see how the Acolyte will expand the Star Wars universe and bring new depth and complexity to the Jedi-Sith conflict.